la 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 la.
You are recording that, right?
What? Huh?
Yeah, you are.
Oh boy. I was just warming up my voice, getting ready to go. How long have you been recording? Hi everybody, I'm Scott.
And I'm Luke.
And I'm Jonathan.
And this is the No Way to Hollywood podcast. Thanks for joining us.
I'm really glad that you're here. I don't know if I'm glad that I'm here.
Wow. I'm sorry for whatever you're about to witness, audience.
So for this episode, we have decided to kind of go back through our movie history until we found a movie that we'd all watched.
And how far back do we have to go to find a movie that we would actually want to talk about? How far do we have to go back, Scott?
February 18th of 2019.
And that's when the movie came out. like that was that. Oh, what's happened to films, guys? What's happened to movies?
Well, there were the sequels to Star Wars.
Yes, we've all seen those, but it's not what we're talking about tonight. On tonight's episode, we are going to talk about the movie Alita Battle Angel. Jonathan and I actually did go to the theater and see this one together. I believe we saw it in the Dolby Theater.
We did. Yeah, we did.
And, I'm still of the opinion that seeing a movie in that theater, no matter what it is good. Even if I hate the movie.
Moose.
What? Luke, where did you actually see this movie?
I have no idea. Did I borrow it from the library? Did I watch it when it was streaming? Did I
He remembers it was dark and there was a screen showing the movie. That's all he knows.
It might not have even been that dark. I honestly don't know.
That sounds like the rest of a bunch of the rest of the movies that I have on my went to the theater and saw list. That there's still one that bothers me that I can't even figure out what the movie was. So
now, what's the more entertaining content? Us talking about Alita Battle Angel or trying to figure out where and when Luke saw this film?
Okay, if us talking about Alita Battle Angel is less interesting than trying to figure out where I saw this movie, why is anyone watching this?
So I will admit, I came into this movie and I am not the most expert person on the kind of source material for a movie like Alita Battle Angel. So can you guys help me out, give me a little bit of background on what I should have appreciated about this movie if I had known more storylines from the genre that it comes from?
Let me tell you, Luke and I are experts on the manga that is Alita Battle Angel, or any anime that come from it. And I have to say, any anime that may have come from it, because I know nothing about Alita Battle Angel. But I can talk to you a little bit about anime in general. And Luke can probably talk even more about anime in general, though I don't believe either of us have read any manga.
No. So clearly we're experts here.
All right. So what I can tell you, Scott, is that in anime, things be crazy. And that they drop you into worlds.
Okay, so
they drop you into worlds.
To manga and anime. No, is that things be crazy.
I think it's a valid place to start. If you don't know what anime is, and you've been watching normal movies and stuff, like you don't know, you're about to get into a crazy world. Anime is a crazy world. Don't matter which anime you're watching, it's crazy. It's crazy. Now, listen up. What anime tends to do, one of their storytelling things, they like to do, they're like, yo, you want to know what's going on? Too bad. We're not going to tell you jack crap about what's happening in this world. You're just going to come right in. Here's a character or two, or 5, or 2,500, and we're going to tell you all about them, little by little. And often they don't know about their own past or what's going on in the bigger world, or they're keeping secrets about who and what they are. It's often the setting place. And then over time, and I do mean time, like anime is well known for going on for seasons and seasons, like hours and hours of content, right, to tell the story. So after a long time, you start to slowly get an understanding of like the things you would ask in like in most movies would be like to be exposition early to tell you like, oh, that's what that is. Oh, that's what that is. In anime, you just see it and it's just a thing and it works and you have to deal with it and every character either acknowledges it as fact or whatever. And then like 2 seasons later, they start to tell you why that thing exists or where it come from and what's the deal about it. Even though likely the creators already understood that from the very beginning. So anime has a way of giving you information in a different time frame and a different way, exposition information in particular, than typical cinema does.
Well, another thing is that there's often a lot of hyper stylization with action, with characters, with that kind of stuff. And so going into this movie, watching the trailers, I was like, what's with her eyes? Like doing a like photorealism, like live action film with like someone who looks not normal. I was like, this isn't going to work for me. Like this was not working. And it was so fascinating for me going in and watching the movie and having the fact that she's got like these giant eyes and all that stuff. Like that didn't bother me at all in the film. In the trailers, it bothered me a lot.
Well, there's actually a visual effects reason for that. They well, not only were they not done, but it was also apparently a note after the first trailer that the iris needed to be bigger. That the irises of the eye had to be bigger and had to connect to the bottom of like had to connect to the eye. Because if they didn't do that, it did have that sort of like, what's going on? This is weird, doesn't feel right. But once you made the iris proportionally the right size or bigger, right, to fit the bigger eye, it was a lot more digestible.
Nice.
So is the eye thing just like an artistic style thing that you would have seen in traditional anime type stuff? Or, I mean, is there some deeper meaning behind the size of the eyes that I'm not aware of?
If there is a deeper meaning, I know that I can't tell you because it's probably cultural or something else that I don't have insight into. But I can tell you that anime often has an incredible amount of stylistic choices constantly. I mean, highly stylized is no joke. Depending on the anime you're watching and what world you're in, a single character can be the most bizarre, out of place looking character in a way to the world, and yet be a part of that story in that world, and just be a highly stylized choice for that character. So her having big eyes, I am not sure why. I haven't seen anime or read a manga based on this character or what that might mean. I don't know if there's a cultural significance, but I'm assuming that it was a stylistic choice in the anime or the manga of which it is based, and that is why it's. I don't think there's an anime. It's probably just a manga that it's based on.
Cool. Well, I will tell you that after watching Alita Battle Angel, I did enjoy the movie quite a bit, a lot more than I was even maybe expecting to. And I thought the way they told the story, and I know we've touched on this a little bit, was actually pretty interesting to me. On the downside, I struggled with it being a 2-hour movie rather than like a 6-episode or 8-episode television show.
Well,
I thought
because the whole movie is like the pilot episode for the show to actually get going, right? Because like in the end of the first episode, that's the movie, we finally know who the bad guy is and where she has to go.
Yeah, no, it definitely feels like the pilot episode of a TV show when you get done with the movie, which I totally agree, Scott. Like it makes me think like, where's my seasons? Where's my I don't want to deal with waiting for a sequel to this movie, which honestly, unfortunately, will likely not happen just because there's not enough box office gross or enough interest in the film and the franchise to go any further. So yeah, it definitely has that feeling at the end of the movie of, and now it's going to get real, but you'll never know what happens unless you read the manga.
I mean,
Manga.
for someone that enjoys that stuff more than I do, like, is it frustrating to get to that point and then know that there's not going to be another movie coming?
I mean, at a certain level, yeah, because I want good movies and I want more story and all that stuff. And so, you get to the end and like, well, you got the potential here. Can we go there?
Yeah, no, it is disappointing, but at the same time, it's still a good ride, right? Like
Yes.
you can watch it again and then get some enjoyment out of it, and that's I have to say that's pretty impressive because the more you can watch a movie over and over again and get joy, get something out of it, is one of my highest, bars of success. And Alita Battle Angel, I mean, it's not like I don't want to watch it all the time, but I'm happy to watch it again because there's stuff there that's fun or interesting or well shot or there's good stuff there. And that's pretty impressive considering the story basically has a resolution, but sets up a way bigger issue for that character and a way bigger issue for that world and does not even get close to dealing with that.
Okay, and then as far as like just stuff that's good in the film, right? Like you've got these plot twists. Like, can you trust this character? What are they actually up to? What's going on? Oh, okay. Oh, that's what's going on. Oh, that's what's going on. Like, there's several reveals that are really good. You see in the poster, like the blood that she like paints on her face for like game face type stuff. And then when you see where she gets that blood and the situation that leads to that, like it's great. Like it's the perfect like kick the dog moment where she's like, now I'm gonna take you down because they literally kill a dog. Spoilers.
There's
like it's great.
there's really good characterizations too. Like the characters, like the larger than life bounty hunters, and like it's not only visually done well, where it's cool or it feels right, and it's interesting because it's the animation, the CGI, the visual effects. It is on the realistic end of the spectrum, right? But it also still retains some of that animation quality, and it doesn't feel wrong to me. It wasn't Uncanny Valley, and it wasn't purely an animated movie. But somehow it found a good mix of like this feels okay with these larger than life things going on, but the characters in specific, the bounty hunters in specific, the characterizations of them were really good. I think my favorite scene in the whole, like my favorite sequence in the whole deal, is her going into like the bounty hunter bar, the like assassin bar, and
Yeah.
being like, "Yo, I'm gonna kick butt and take names, and I ain't nobody you mess with." And things just keep escalating in a great way, and then finally you're like, the whole thing escalates, and she's just more and more and more BA and unbeatable. And by the end of the sequence, she gets ripped to shreds, if I recall, right?
Yes.
Doesn't she get ripped to shreds?
Yes.
She gets ripped to shreds.
Right. And that's what's great about the movie too, is that like there's actual danger because she actually gets her butt handed to her several times. And yet through grit and determination and skill and knowledge and creativity, she's able to overcome that. Like by the time that she's like down to like one hand with a finger, like and all of her other limbs are gone, and she's like, I'm still gonna win. Like that's great. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of enjoyable moments. I loved that fight sequence too in the bar. And it's just kind of one of those like yeah moments. Like it really was great. And I wish to a certain extent, like I almost wish there was this 2 hour long movie where that was, I mean, you could have taken a small section of the movie, made that an hour to 2 hour movie, and had something that I might have enjoyed a little bit more just because of the beginning and the closing, rather than trying to cram a bunch of these episodes into 2 hours and not go super in depth or not close the loop super well. So I mean that's my perspective from an outsider. I will tell you that the one thing that it really did have going, I really did appreciate the visuals. Even when I knew that they were computer generated, there was still something really cool about them that still felt real, and I could appreciate that.
I gotta say that one of the scenes that I always struggle with because it's just too cheesy. I just can't go with it here. Is the she takes out her literal heart and tries to give it to like this guy she wants to date or whatever. She's like, "I love you. Have my heart." And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa." First of all, symbolically, a little on the nose or in the hand, if you will. Like it was just, what are you doing? This is way too literal. Second of all, um, creepy as crap. You know, it's like, whoa, I'm going to give you my heart. It just doesn't. It weirdly plays right in the sense of how innocent, naive, trusting, in a sense, she is, right? And like how passionate she is at the same time. So it does work on a character level, which is why I think it gets some level of a pass. But just as a scene, it's bizarre. It's a cheesy deal. And that world, I gotta say, that world is full of the cyberpunk problem, which is really dark, evil stuff going on. People are doing cybernetic implants all the time, which is bad enough, and then they're getting harvested for their parts, or maybe their biological parts. There's a big gladiating arena, basically, where you're running around doing crazy stuff, and people are getting shredded and demolished and destroyed. Now they're mostly robot pieces, but let me tell you right now, if it was anime you're watching, there'd be blood out the wazoo. It'd be crazy amounts of blood to emphasize the destruction and killing of people. And with all the kind of gross stuff, they very clearly indicate to you that this evil thing is happening or this ugly thing is happening here, but they don't make it particularly gory. They find ways around that, which I found honestly impressive considering how much destruction and crazy stuff is going on in that world.
Yeah, there's several sequences where you're like, oh, this is going to be bad, and they just cut away, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, to a certain extent, it feels like they were trying to take this genre and bring it into like a setting that is different than what the intended audience or target is initially. And to do that, they had to kind of cut out some of that stuff. When something like that happens, does that take away from your enjoyment of it because you know it's supposed to be coming? Or did you guys actually appreciate the decisions they made in terms of that?
Well, it's interesting because with anime, you have such a large gambit of, like hyper gory to like really disturbing, but like they don't show any of it, right? Like that's all over anime. And so I didn't have a problem cutting away from gore because not everything has to be elfen-lied. Like you can be okay saying this is the horror that's going on and we don't need to watch it. And in fact, in a lot of cases, that's more horrifying because what happens in your mind can be significantly worse than whatever you're going to be able to show me on screen, right? So it didn't detract for me at all. I was like, I'm okay with this. I'm totally okay.
I think they do a great job of getting the essence. Again, I haven't read the manga or anything like that, but like I believe they get a really good job of kind of capturing the feel of things well, like adapting work into both what we expect in a movie in a cinema form, but also keeping a lot of tropes and visuals and feelings that I think you get when you watch an anime show. You can't obviously you can't get the same feelings exactly as you would from watching animation and all the stylized things they're doing there, but they get a lot of the moments, they get a lot of the caricatures, they get a lot of the big things. They feel right. They feel similarly, I would say. So having really no experience with the source material of this particular property, I think that's one of the things that they did very well, is they actually adapted it pretty well.
And from what I've read, it does appear to be a labor of love. So this isn't just people who are like, we'll just take this and make something because we don't have any other ideas. It's like, we want to make this. This would be a blast.
Okay, so let me then ask you this question. If you guys could remake this film, what would you do differently?
I have not been thinking about trying to remake this movie. I think I would try to drop less of the world building in the initial pass and get to more of like the stakes and where we're going. And then if we want to do some world building or whatever, like let that play out over more movies, or better. And this is just something we've already hinted at, which is this might be better as a miniseries or a macro series or whatever, or you're actually taking the time to go through the episodes. So maybe it'd be better as a Netflix show or an HBO show where they can just like release all the episodes and you can go watch, 12 hours of stuff if you want.
It's hard because I don't know where the story's ultimately trying to get to. I don't know, I don't know what happens with the ultimate bad guy. I don't know what happens after the movie ends. But from what I saw, I'd probably try to I try to do something with the relationship between her and the boyfriend. Basically, there's a certain sincerity there that works. There's also a certain just like cheesiness and a kind of a distance I feel between. I don't empathize as well as I probably should with that relationship. I'd also, I don't know. I would try to see where I could shortcut some things. I try to see where I can skip maybe a little bit of exposition here or there. Is there any place I can do that? Because there's a lot of exposition, a lot of things going on, but what matters, right? My past would be all about what can I cut? What can I get rid of so that we can get more substantial information faster and move from there. And I would focus, I love the relationship between her and Christoph Waltz, that character. Like, that's a great relationship. I would definitely be focusing on that more. Christoph Waltz and his ex-wife, basically, that character, and then she's got a tie to like a gang lord on the surface. The issue with all of that is that you know way early that the main bad guy of the story in a lot of ways is not this dude who played by Mahershala Ali on the ground. He's a cool dude who's like a gangster who's like the top of the food chain down there. And you find out very quickly he is not top of the food chain. He's top of the food chain there. He is bottom of the food chain to this whole other thing going on above them. And that makes him less of a threat in a way. He becomes a goon. And so there's less tension. So I'd probably see how long I can hold off the reveal that he's being manipulated, controlled. I try to put that, I might wait till the very end. I mean, it would suck because it'd be a reversal that would have no consequence in a lot of ways, but it's also a big setup. And that's the whole thing is you're stuck in a world where no matter what you do to remake this movie, unless you can somehow truncate the whole story more into that story in that 2.5 hour space, there's not necessarily a lot you can do except just trim it up and make it more efficient.
Interesting. Well, what to you guys was the shining moment of this movie? What was the one thing that you can point to and say that was amazing from a film standpoint, from a filmmaker's standpoint?
Well, I already talked about what I think is my favorite, and I've only seen this movie once, so there might be stuff that jumps out to me, but I definitely like the dog sequence. I like that because it's good because it plays off of tropes that we have, but also reveals character, but also builds relationships, and also gives you cool visuals, right? So like it's just good on all fronts on that for me. So I'd go with that scene.
There's lots of little like fun things along the way. I really do think that it comes down to that same sequence. I think the bar sequence in its entirety, from when she walks in there till she gets defeated, is all fantastic. It's good storytelling. It's good character building. It's really good action. It escalates and keeps going very well. It doesn't feel forced or random, I don't think. It feels right. And so that whole sequence feels really good. So if you can only watch one sequence of the movie, I don't care as much about, rollerball. I don't care about a lot, her and the boyfriend and her discovering who she is. Like, that's all fine, and that's kind of part of it. But like that bar sequence is when things for me really, really become like, this is something that could be really good. And this right here is really good.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, I hope you all have enjoyed our discussion. We're going to move on and give you some recommendations of something to watch.
Oh, man.
man. What are we gonna
Some
talk
kind of
about?
anime or something.
Oh, do anime? If we're just talking anime, okay. I've only seen 3 anime, so which one do I recommend?
I haven't seen any, so I'm going to recommend something else at this point.
Wow, Scott.
If you've never watched anime before, you might want to try out. I know one of the first animes I really enjoyed was Sword Art Online. I'm sure there's lots of different opinions about how good or bad Sword Art Online is in the anime. Like people who love anime community, like, oh, that's child's play. How dare you? I think it's fun. I think it's accessible. I think the ideas are not too far beyond. Also, it's very geeky. It's about getting stuck in a video game world. Like imagine putting on a virtual headset, right, and like matrixing basically into a video game, and you expect to be able to get out. And then on the first day of launch in the really big video game that you're playing and you enjoy, you find out that if you die in this game, you die for real, and you can't get out until you beat the game. And it's one of those games that goes on forever. It's really hard. So if you're not into gaming at all, it may not translate well. But it's a fun anime. It's got stakes, but it's kind of fun and fantastical, and I think it's a good place to start.
And if you haven't watched any anime ever, Summer Wars, I always feel is a great introduction. It's a movie, so it's like only a couple hours, and then you've got it. And then as you revisit that movie after watching more anime, you will discover just how many tropes and nods and homages they packed into that one movie. It's amazing. But if you want something a little more like whimsy and out there and crazy and action and all that stuff, Cowboy Bebop is a good role on that. So
good choices, Luke. Those are good. And if you want to know what anime is like in its most violent, gory, disturbing, horrible form, watch Attack on Titan. Very interesting, very intriguing, and yet it'll just make your soul hurt. It will make you be disturbed. That's the other thing about it. That's the other spectrum of just whimsy. And then there's Attack on Titan, the pure depression, okay? Like, just letting you know. So, lots of content there, lots of gross stuff, lots of violence. But that's the thing. That is the spectrum of anime. There's those two sides.
Yeah, cool. I definitely feel a little lost right now in making a recommendation. Don't even know what to say after you guys enjoyed yourself there. But I'll recommend, here's an animated movie that it does go start to finish for me. It does wrap up the story loop. And at the same time, I still feel like there's more story to tell. So that movie for me is a movie I may have recommended before. Don't remember. I know I've thought about it before, but it's called Titan AE. Delightful, fun, space adventure movie, saving humanity. Yay! And there you go.
Fun pool, Scott. That's I haven't thought about Titan AE in like years.
Yeah, well, I've got some stuff hidden in my collection of movies that I enjoy watching. I remember Titan AE especially because as we were talking about the visuals tonight, there was something about the way they animated the space scenes that made you just have this sense of like how I feel when I look up at the stars at night now, but yet I was in those amazing places that you basically only see telescope photos of anymore. So
A quick anecdote about Titan AE. What I remember is when I was a boy, I was in like a little camp with some other kids, and we wanted to like vote on a movie we could watch for the evening. And it was a bunch of girls and me. And I voted for Titan AE, one vote, and every other girl voted for like Mary Kate and Ashley go to an amusement park or some crap. So I just want to put that out there. That's my memory of Titan AE. That and it's pretty good.
well, thanks for joining us. We'll catch you again next time.